Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. The final game of the regular season for the Purdue Boilermakers with the Wisconsin Badgers coming to town. A lot of laughs in this one, but without further ado, let's run it. So this one ended with a score of Purdue 78, Wisconsin 70. This was the last home game, the last game of the regular season, senior night, and the end of an era for a historic group of seniors for Purdue basketball. Wisconsin looking to play spoiler for this special day and put themselves into a much better spot heading into the Big Ten tournament. It really sucked that this game had to fall during the beginning of spring break for Purdue because I really, really would have liked to be there. But regardless, the Paint Crew still showed out to make this a great one. This one got off to a bit of a slow start, but Purdue found themselves with a decent early lead coming off of two lucky Lance Jones threes. I call them lucky because the first one bounced about 3 times on the rim before falling, and the second one he just straight up banked it in from the left wing. From there, Purdue slowly extended their lead over the course of the rest of the first half, making the most out of Wisconsin's poor jump shooting and a pretty balanced scoring attack. The Boilermakers' lead got to as much as 14, but Wisconsin was able to bring it back to 11 by the end of the first half on the back of AJ Storr, who ended up with 13 first half points. The second half started with buckets traded left and right until the 13-minute mark when a Wisconsin flurry cut the lead to 4 with just under 12 to go. Wisconsin had multiple chances to cut the lead even further with 2 missed threes, but against a team as good as Purdue, you won't get many more chances than that. A three from Braden Smith and Caleb First, only his, I think, third of the whole season, along with 2 Zach Edey free throws, brought the lead back up to 9. That was all she wrote for Wisconsin. They would come back within 5 points one additional time, but Purdue extended their lead back to 14 with 2.5 to play. And the only reason the final score ended with an 8-point win for the Boilers was a couple of turnovers from the end of the bench group allowed Wisconsin to finally make 2 threes at the end there, upping their 3-point total on the game to 5 of 24. Yikes. Going to some top performers, of course, the man of the hour, Zach Edey, as always, comes with a pretty solid game. Pretty solid for him, being 25 points on 7 for 14 shooting, 11 for 14 from the free throw line, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. Behind him and in back-to-back games, our second top performer for Purdue is Fletcher Loyer. He ended up with 15 points on a perfect 5 of 5 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3, perfect 3 for 3 from the free throw line as well, 5 rebounds and 4 assists. So a very balanced game, and quite frankly, a lot more balanced than we're used to seeing out of Fletcher Loyer. So great to see him continue to play some great basketball. And he had an and 1 3 there during the game, which was a really fun one to watch. On the other side for Wisconsin, actually led in scoring by John Blackwell off the bench. He ended up with 18 points on a very good 7 of 10 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3, 2 for 4 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal. And behind him was Tyler Wall, who similarly, compared to their first matchup, had a very solid game as well. Had 17 points on 7 of 10 shooting as well, 0 for 1 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he was just all over the court. He was everywhere in that game. Honorable mentions, we've got for Purdue, Braden Smith, once again, ever so close to a triple-double. He ends up with 10 points. Not a good shooting game, 4 for 16 from the field, so he shot the ball a lot, especially in the pick and roll, where a lot of shots just weren't quite falling. He also didn't shoot the 3 ball very well, 1 for 4 from 3 and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. But as per usual, he made his presence known in other ways, 8 rebounds and 10 assists. He just needed 2 more rebounds. He's just been so close all year long to getting to that triple-double range, just hasn't quite been able to make it, and of course added 1 steal onto that as well. For Wisconsin, of course, we mentioned his first half points. AJ Storr, he really quieted down in the second half, ended up with only 17 points, and a big part of that was his shots just weren't falling. Ended up going 6 for 15 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Talking about some key team points for Purdue, it really was limit turnovers. This game really only got close when Wisconsin was able to cause turnovers early on in the second half. When Purdue got shots off, they were able to make enough to maintain their lead and even extend it most of the time. Wisconsin shooting the way that they did clearly helped that a bit, but Purdue needed to do a better job of being smart with the ball and not as nonchalant with passes and dribbling when setting up sets. They got a couple of quick ticky-tack turnovers like that I think were very avoidable. 14 turnovers is too high for them, and they got lucky that Wisconsin really couldn't capitalize more off of them. Secondly, it was the 3 ball. Purdue went a very solid 9 for 18 from deep this game, and it was a big difference maker, especially in the second half. When they weren't having nearly as much success inside with Edey, they found success from the outside. 6 of their 9 threes on the game came in the second half. And when Purdue makes threes at that high of a clip, they're going to be very hard to stop. Now, can they continue to shoot this well outside of Mackey? That's going to be a bit of a different story, and we'll see how they do come Big Ten tournament times, since that'll be played on a neutral court. But there's a reason why they're the highest three-point shooting team by percentage in the country. They've managed to have some pretty decent success outside of Mackey as well, so we'll see if they're able to keep that up. On the flip side for Wisconsin, it's also the three ball. Dear Lord, Wisconsin couldn't hit the side of a barn today, going just measly 5 for 24 from three, like I mentioned earlier. And that was after those 2 late threes that came in garbage time with Purdue subs in. Wisconsin's biggest downfall in the second half of the season is that they're simply not shooting the ball like they used to. Their offense just hasn't really been there. If they knock down even just a couple more threes, this is an entirely different game. And I think that speaks to the fact that Wisconsin is still a very solid basketball team, but their shooting's just lacking right now. Until they figure that out, I don't see them going very far in the Big Ten tournament or NCAA tournament. And secondly, get the big dogs going. I know they're not always top scorers for the Badgers, but I think a big issue for Wisconsin in this one was lack of production from particularly Stephen Crowell and Chucky Hepburn. Those two are usually big sources of production for the team, whether it be scoring, rebounding, or playmaking. And this game, it just kind of felt like they disappeared a bit. I know Chucky didn't have his best shooting game, going 1 for 7 from the field, so he did get some shots up. But Stephen Crowell just didn't even try to get anything going on offense, it seemed, going just 0 for 2. Kind of seemed like he was just out there to run around, set screens, and kind of see if he got open, but he didn't really try to get his very much. If you're Wisconsin, you can't have those guys going. They combined for 56 minutes and only got a combined 2 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals to show out of it. You wouldn't even call that a good game for one of those guys, much less both. So that's just a recipe for disaster and unacceptable for Wisconsin basketball. With securing a perfect 16-0 home record, Purdue also secured their number 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament, meaning they will play the winner of Michigan State and Minnesota after their double bye on Friday. And for Wisconsin, if that loss kept them at the 5 seed, so they'll start off with a winner of Rutgers and Maryland on Thursday. And if they make it through to Friday, they'll take on the number 4 seed Northwestern Wildcats. But that's all I've got for today. Here on the channel, we're nose deep in content between Butler and Purdue game recaps, Boombuster Believable, and of course, our conference recaps heading into Selection Sunday. So stay tuned for my favorite time of the year, filled with plenty of college basketball content here on Running the Table. But until then, like and subscribe for more college basketball content. And until next time, I'm out.